Welcome to Teaching Artistry with Courtney J. Body. That's me. This is a podcast that celebrates artists and advocates for community engagement. And like you, I'm home and looking to connect. And so we've launched this podcast video series in partnership with Creative Generation called Keep Making Art. And here I'm talking to creatives who are making and sharing art or guiding others to make and share art. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the YouTube channel. We're also on all the social media platforms. We're on the Facebook, we're on Twitter, we're on Instagram. Get on it. All right, so now we're gonna get to our guest for today. Help me welcome Sujeong Lee. Hi, Sujeong.
Hi, Courtney. Wow.
Hi.
So good to see you.
I know, it's so fantastic to see you. It's been way too long.
Been 20 years.
What? Wait, what? No.
20 years. I left New York 20 years ago and I'm connected now.
That's crazy. Can you let everybody know where you are in the world?
So I'm in South Korea, near Seoul, and in the middle of pandemic, I think Korea became popular somehow. Yeah, so yeah, it's so near Seoul in Korea, South Korea.
And how are you doing in this time of COVID-19? You and your love.
Yeah, I think we're getting used to this, time for transformation somehow. We are kind of adjusting to this environment. It's still a little uneasy to deal with it, but yeah, we're trying to be adapted to this situation.
Okay. And one of the things that I'm super excited about is the fact that you're international. Two, you are in South Korea where we were watching, the world was watching what was happening with you and other countries who were experiencing this pandemic first or in the first sort of wave. And we're also sort of watching to see how things are going as your country or your cities are starting to open back up. But before we get to that, help us understand what is, how do you identify as an artist?
Oh, yeah, I'm kind of a unique case. I'm not like artist. I'm just, maybe I would consider myself as a teaching artist. And I try to integrate arts in the classroom, especially English classroom. I speak English and I saw that maybe I can do some part to make it better. So I implemented arts in English teaching area, and that's me.
And okay, so that's great. So you and I met actually while we were master's candidates, right, at NYU?
Yeah.
And then we were in a performance troupe together.
Yeah.
And then you went on to get your doctorate, is that correct?
Yeah, I did.
You didn't get it at NYU though, you got it somewhere else?
Yeah, I was at NYU and then, I came back to Korea. I saw that, I think I will explain about all my history, how I, became like this, having this identity. It's kind of very unique. I think not many people do work like me. And I try to combine practices and theories together. So I was challenged while I was doing practical work. I was challenged to learn more theoretical ground. So I went to University of Warwick, and I was supervised by Jonathan Newlands, and I wrote my thesis about this field, like what's the impact of integration of drama in English teaching.
Amazing. So tell us about that. So you have a school, you have an English school. What's the mission of the English school, and how are you, in fact, incorporating drama into your work?
Right. Oh, I kind of prepare some, some materials for me to explain. So can I share it?
Yes, please.
Yeah. So you see this? This is the school. This is the school I kind of invented. Let's see. You see this?
Yes,
This
I do.
Dr. Seuss Milk English. Milking www.milkenglish.com. And as you see this, this is my logo. The little girl planted a tiny seed and it grew into a big tree, and then it has a fruit like this. This is lime, actually. That's my story. This is all my journey. I started this work, uh, maybe 15 years ago with nothing. Then I kept planting as an artist mind. As I explained to you, I just try to combine arts in English area. So that's my whole story for 15 years. So first of all, I was wondering if I can teach English through arts, and that was my mission. That was my interest. It was my passion too. But the reason why I studied this, when I came back to Korea a long time ago, 20 years ago, I saw that many children were kind of oppressed by learning English, because still it's like that, because we have like college exam, and that's a big thing in education. So like all, kids are like so much focusing on testing. So learning English was not fun, and I felt bad about that. So I thought that I can do something with it. So yeah, so that was my seed. Then in 2009, I started this school, and as you see, this is the vision I saw, like kids moving, imagining, laughing, kids. That was my vision. Like I want the kids enjoy learning, especially in learning English. So that stands for moving, imagining, laughing, kids. That was my grounds of this work. And it grew, actually. It grew, and at the beginning, I had no students because nobody knew what I was doing. I tried to teach through drama and arts of English, and people were wondering, like, what she's doing, and she's just playing with kids. But still, I got really good responses from children, and they grew, and there are many good positive impact I could see. So I was wondering, what's the theoretical ground of this, as I mentioned to you before. So I wrote my thesis. While I was writing my thesis, I found very valuable things. This is the name of my thesis, Impact of the Integration of Drama in Near-Field Teaching. Then after PhD, I just launched a new program called LIME. It's called Learning by Doing, Interacting, Meaning Making, and Enjoying the Process. That's what I want you to see in the classroom, especially in English classroom. So this is my program, Dr. Seuss Milk and Lime English program. And as you see, these are my children. Like, kids are like so happy to come here to learn English. And they're laughing, as I imagined at the beginning, laughing and moving and imagining. So we do a lot of drama here, and we do stories. And this is after camp. We have some camp during the vacation time, and they were so excited about our program. And see, as you see this, the kids are so open while they're exposed to this arts. So we do a lot of creative work together, creative drama especially. That's my main field. They dramatize. These are my students. Like, they read a story, but with very fun way. And yeah, this is like our camp is going on here. So yeah, this is the findings about what I'm doing here. I like the kids learn not just language. It can be beyond language learning. So they can have. I'm not going to read the whole thing because it will take a lot of time, but there's some highlights.
Well, I'm just picking out like some of the great features here. That yes, you found a need. People want to learn English. Kids, focusing on creative drama as a way to learn and really embed English or oral language into your own practices, especially if it's not the language that's spoken at home or around you. And then these other sort of outcomes that happen. I love this idea of reduced anxiety levels,
Yeah.
enhance the confidence and the creativity that happens, and being able to see yourself differently in the world. That's a big thing that we talk about a lot in my work too.
Right. Yeah. So I see a really good impact that made me keep going on this work. And not just teaching children, I also train artists, teaching artists in college and graduate school or some for teacher training. Because, because I cannot do all by myself, we need some teachers like you do, right? We need some teachers who can, apply this. So that's also one of my job here. So these are like college students, they're learning the techniques. I'm mostly focusing on drama, drama pedagogy and creative drama, those kind of things. So as you see, we don't have desk or paper and pencil or books. We just always express ourselves emotionally and physically, and through that we can use language, and it's more authentic. So the graduate students, these are my graduate students I'm teaching at the International Graduate School of English here. I'm an adjunct professor there, so I meet teachers, a lot of teachers there. So I got really good responses too, and they're really encouraged to apply this in their classroom too, because they're working in the field. So that's me. That's what I have done. And now, from March, actually at the end of February, everything has changed. I couldn't meet, students at all. Like, I was like so panicked at the time, and I didn't know what to do. So it's been maybe 3 months already, yeah, since it happened here, and we kind of adapted this. At the beginning, because I have school here and kids couldn't come, I didn't know what to do, and everything, we were focusing on social interaction. That was my main methods. I mean, all arts are like that, especially drama art. We focus on social interaction. So yeah, but we need to come up with something, and amazingly, magically, we came up with ideas like, oh, all the teachers here I work with, we can videotape our teaching, and let's just, send it to the kids. So we did it actually. It was a lot of work. We just shoot the video with not the professional camera, just our iPhone. We did it, and we just, send it to the kids, and that was a starting point of changing. Somehow we got to learn that still with this technology, with this machine, we kind of have some connection. We can create some connection too. So video is not that, very efficient. Later on, we learned about Zoom. So Zoom was good. I'm just showing these pictures right now. So for video, we went to the Zoom. Now the virus became a little less. I mean, here is a little more stable. So people start to come out this month from May, and I have these little children come to our classroom with mask. Kind of we are used to, like kids just keep wearing that. They don't feel like it's annoying. It's very interesting. Everybody's adjusted to this. So this is my little children after COVID-19 here, and teachers also wear masks, and everybody wears masks. And now we are doing on and off. Some kids are at home. Some kids who's a little afraid of coming out, then they are staying home, and some kids in the classroom. So in this way, at the beginning, like 2 months ago, we did video shooting only. We just keep sending the videos. Now we can interact somehow this way. So this is a new way of classroom, new way of interacting in the classroom. So this is us right now, and I don't know exactly where it leads to, but I feel that we'll go somewhere. I don't worry about this. I think we need to be adapted to this new way of, communicating. That's what I feel. So what I want to say is, yeah, just embrace a new world and something will happen, and be human. And because we are creative, then I think everything will be okay. I'm very positive, optimistic. Okay, I'm gonna stop sharing here.
That's great. I have so much to respond to, but I think the first thing I want to note um, is how parallel our lives are. Even though we haven't seen each other for 20 years, we're both adjuncts and teaching teachers or teaching artists in our own practices or our own approaches. And we're also we're both educators and working with kids. I work with kids in a variety of ways, in a variety of age range, a wide age range, but everything that we were doing was also in person. And now we're in that moment where you were talking about, first we just filmed a whole bunch of stuff and got it out there. And then we were able to do some more interactive work through Zoom. And now we're figuring out how there's this blended teaching and learning practice, and between, people who are at home and people in person, and still trying to figure out what that looks like. So I loved the word that you said before about transformation.
Yeah.
And then just going really farther back into your presentation around your methodology, milk and lime, and really mapping out what that strategy is, because to me, that's a combination of things that we've been talking about around mission, alignment, understanding what the need is, and being, inventive or thinking in new ways that are still harkening back to our core values as well as that mission, right? And being, I don't want to say relevant, that's not the thing, but actually being authentic to who you are,
Right.
but responding and shifting and pivoting is the word that we use a lot here, pivoting to be able to continue to engage your communities.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that makes our life very meaningful too. And I feel very happy that I live this life creating something. It's like my whole 20 years of experience in Korea is like a whole bunch of creation. I didn't follow somebody, but I just started from what I feel, like what's inside of me, and it just came out, and it became just some school. Like I didn't expect I'd make a school, but somehow it turned out to be a school, and many people are impacted by this. So I think it's important that as an artist or educator, it's important to see what I have inside, and then will reflect to the society. I think that's how a meaningful life can be.
Yeah, and so I think one of the one of the things that I find fascinating about what you shared is your presentation is so, it's presented in such a way that is very obviously we can understand it, but it's got some hope inside of that. And to see the little ones, so joyous, both pre-COVID and post-COVID, and still excited to learn, interested to learn, that's really great. I am curious though about I guess more on an emotional level, as that's where I go.
Yeah.
But just curious about, you talked about, I look inside, I start with what I feel and what excites me, and then I figure out what's the method or the platform to impart, that work and that engagement. And I'm curious just to know, were you scared? What, how does your society, how does society in South Korea, there's a lot of high anxiety here, there's a lot of uncertainty. People tend, at least from my, what I can understand about Americans as one, is that sometimes fear can turn into anger, and it manifests in a whole lot of ways that are actually not really useful, but people don't know what to do with themselves, and especially Americans do not like not having control. That is for sure. So there's a lot of angst and uncertainty, and so I'm just curious about that on your level. Like, it seems like as somebody who runs this school, you're being responsive, you're thinking creatively, you're problem solving from a creative headspace. It's wonderful, but what else is happening, societally?
Right. Oh, yeah. Here, I mean, the whole world has fear now. But I think for me, individually, I don't have fear. Actually, I accept this. As a society, of course, people have lots of fear, and you see, there are two different. Okay, how can I say, two different parts. Like some people just okay, like me, like they are hopeful, they are trying to accept this, and they try to be adapted and be transformed to a new way of life. And the other way is like they're so fear and they're worried, and so much tension there. So it's all mixed. Everywhere is like that. And the same thing here. And I see that parents who send the kids here, I mean, people start to come out, but still some people cannot because they have so much fear. But I mean, I think it's also understandable because we should be careful. This is really critical time, so we should be really careful. So as a society in Korea, the good thing about Korea right now is we build really strong sense of community. We try to be together to solve this problem. We see this as a goal to reach. We try to get rid of this COVID-19. That's our goal. So as a whole community, we try to fight with it. So we've been good so far in doing this, but somehow there are certain people who's not conscious about this, and they are just careless, and they go somewhere even if they have virus. So those people just spread virus again. That's happening this week. This week, until last week, we were like so happy that no virus at all, zero virus. It was like so excited. But this week, some positive came out. So we are a little worried again.
And I think that's part of that care, that goal that you're talking about, like like as a community, our goal is to make sure that we're fighting this virus. And here are the ways to do that: wearing your masks, staying home as much as possible. All those things are real, and even when you open back up, people are being careful, but it's still so new that there's bound to be a bit of backslide, right? But now as a country, as a society, you have learned exactly what it takes to not let it get to a place where it will spike again at high levels. You'll know, like, okay, if we have new cases, here are some things that we need to put in place that are more about safety. And again, as a community, if I'm understanding you correctly, as a community, we're going to work on it together.
Yeah.
The other thing that I'm sorry, go ahead. Well, the other thing that I heard you say that I'm and please understand, like, I'm trying to wrap my head around it, because I want to make sure, one, that as I'm trying to be adaptable and open, that I also can manage my own emotions, because sometimes I am super hopeful, like you said, and I can see where this is going. I can see the transformation is important. And then you sort of listen to the news and you hear some things, and it's like, ooh, golly, like this is a lot. Or you see some of the choices that government is making that doesn't feel like it's putting people at the center, right? Or it's making choices based on capitalism as opposed to, really thinking about coming from like a healing centered place, that community space that you're talking about. And that's more on a macro level, on the larger level. I can see on smaller levels how communities are that, may have existed in one way or another, how they're tightening and they're shoring up and their health. There's a lot of support that's happening. I'm obviously much more interested. I'm in that, in being a part of that, but I can't help but look to the larger, you know, society. I was talking to another academic person on the show who I love. His name is Dr. Sean Ginwright, and he talked about, if we want to be, we have to transform. We need to think about who we want to become. And once we have, and coming from that sort of healing centered space that I was saying, and that democracy then sort of enshrines that idea, which, in America, it's not, it just, this is a whole, like, it's awesome to be American for many, many reasons. But one of the things that has been very clear is that, what did he say that I thought was, of course he said it so much better than I can say it, but he said something to the effect of, like, in America, your humanity has been monetized, right? So capitalism, basically. And it's going to be a very big transformation, a very big mind shift as a whole for Americans to think the way you just described, that we have one goal, that is to do this thing, and everything that we do impacts how well we beat this thing or reach that goal. And I think for the most part, Americans understand that, but there's enough people who may not get it that can help elongate the length of this challenge and this crisis that is impacting all the people. So, like, our governor says this a lot, and I appreciate it, and I don't know how much it's absorbed, but he says there is no I or me, there's we.
Yeah, exactly.
I like that as a concept. Yeah.
Right. Yes. Yeah. I think it's whether it is a family or just small community or society or the different countries. I think this time, this incident made us all together somehow, and we tried to make this opportunity to be shifted to be another way of living. So
yeah, go ahead. Sorry, go.
Yeah, so as an individual, myself is one of the cells. We consider me as one of the cells of big body. So if one cell has some bad disease, it will impact everything. So I think we should be, as an individual, we should be healthy first. Then I think the society will be impacted by that. And if there's another cell is not that healthy, I think we should improve immune system working together. Somehow some other cells should help. So yeah, maybe I'm too optimistic.
You just set up a light bulb in my head. That's beautiful. Yeah, I was hoping that this conversation would be exactly what it is, meaning we would learn a lot about your work, because I think it's amazing. I've been following it on Instagram and Facebook, and just like every time I see any sort of post that comes up from your school, it's always so joyous, and I love it. And I want to thank you for doing that work, and the kind of impact that you're having, I'm sure, is quite high. But I think that selfishly, I wanted to make sure that we spoke because I somehow, I don't know, intuitively knew that some of the lines of inquiry that I've had in general, through this podcast, through this video series, that you would just sort of hit on some things that I think are quite meaningful, that everybody should hear. So I want to thank you so much for taking the time, for being in time and space. Like, I'm in the evening, you're in the morning.
Thank you so much. I'm really, I think it's another transitional time for me and for us, and because we learned a new way of to be connected, even in Seoul and New York. And that was my hope actually. Before I wanted to work with people in New York too, but because of physical distance, I couldn't think of any ways. But now I think we have this tool. I think we should take advantage of this technology to be connected together. I think maybe we can create something else, and that's artists' work, right?
Yes, I like the way you think. I also like how you are able to find acronyms for things, because I love an acronym. I love to figure out what it is. How do you like name it? And then what does it spell? I do love that. Sujeong, thank you so much for taking time to talk with us. And yes, let's keep talking. Let's keep Zoom's our friend. And thank you all for watching. Keep making art. Remember that this is also a podcast, so you can listen to us on SoundCloud or Apple Podcasts or wherever your podcast player catches your podcasting dreams, I guess. And don't forget to keep making art.